It's been declared a national public health emergency and the leading cause of accidental deaths in America. And tonight, Madison city leaders are talking about the opioid epidemic here in town, and they're asking for your help.
And America's top diplomat is booked solid with meetings today, all to set up another meeting down the line between the president and North Korea's leader. The news starts now.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning, 6 o'clock now on this Thursday, May 31st.
All these really hot temperatures in May kind of have me freaked out about what August is going to look like here.
I'm not even trying to think about that.
You never know. Yeah, a lot could change between now and then, so just stay tuned.
It's going to be hot again.
Yeah, let's worry first about today. The sun is up. It's pretty muggy outside this morning, and temperatures will climb into the 80s today. It'll feel like it's in the low 90s in some spots. Here's a look at our current temperature readings. We're down to 69 now in Madison, 68 though in Janesville, 67 in the Dells, and 64 in Prairie du Chien. Dew points are high, so it already feels kind of sticky outside. Our forecast today has heat index values that will creep close to 90 degrees here in Madison later on this afternoon. So plan on one more very warm and humid day. First alert traffic update this morning. It's been pretty quiet on the roads so far. There are some delays showing up on Verona Road as you approach the Beltline in that construction area, but no major delays on the Beltline right now. No accidents in the area, so you're still going at posted speeds heading into Madison.
That's always good too.
Yeah.
We need that.
It's been a little rough lately.
Yeah. Alrighty, especially in that construction zone down just southeast of Madison.
Just take it easy.
Alrighty, thank you.
You're welcome.
We start the news this half hour in New York City, where Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a top North Korean official will spend the day in meetings with the goal of getting a summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un back on track. Last week, President Trump canceled that June 12th summit. But since then, both the North Korean government and the White House have said they would still be willing to meet. Now, while North Korean leaders say their nuclear weapons are essential to their safety, President Trump is still pushing for the country to completely end its nuclear program. Kim Jong-chul is the most high-ranking North Korean official to visit the United States in almost 2 decades. CBS This Morning will have more on the conversations happening today, coming up after 7.
Investors on Wall Street are going to be watching closely today as the United States is expected to apply tariffs on imported European steel and aluminum. In March, the Trump administration announced tariffs of 25% on steel, 10% on imported aluminum, but gave the European Union an exemption that expires tomorrow. Now, shares in American steel companies like Alcoa and U.S. Steel are up significantly this morning in pre-market trading. The EU is expected to retaliate by increasing tariffs on products from the United States like orange juice, peanut butter, and other goods.
The two Republicans hoping to challenge Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin this fall will take part in a forum in Dane County tonight. State Senator Leah Vukmir and businessman Kevin Nicholson will make their respective cases to the GOP women of Dane County tonight on why they deserve their support. Vukmir won the endorsement of delegates at this month's state GOP convention, but Nicholson says he will keep fighting for the nomination up until the August 14th primary. Tonight's forum starts at 6:30 at the Sheridan Hotel in Madison. It is free and open to the public.
Wisconsin's Republican Senator Ron Johnson is going to be the keynote speaker at a panel today on how Wisconsin can transform its economy. He'll be joined at that event by UW System President Ray Cross, Michelle Schuler of Microsoft, and other business leaders. The group's going to focus specifically on the technology industry and how building software skills here in Wisconsin could help job growth. It's being held in Milwaukee starting at noon today.
Foxconn is expected to be a big part of that growing tech industry here in Wisconsin, but the dispute over the land needed for the big plant is now being brought to a higher court. A dozen property owners who are losing their land to the project filed a federal lawsuit claiming the use of eminent domain is unconstitutional in this situation, saying it's for private use and not public benefit. They also say the offers made for their land are just too low. A federal judge dismissed the suit, but those property owners filed an appeal this week. Lawyers for the village of Mount Pleasant, where this is all happening, say the appeal will not stop the project.
We could hear more today from lawyers and judges interested in running for a soon-to-be open spot on Wisconsin's Supreme Court. Justice Shirley Abrahamson announced yesterday she will not seek re-election next year. Abrahamson was Wisconsin's first female Supreme Court justice. She has served 42 years on the state's highest court. That's longer than any other justice in Wisconsin history. She says she will stay to the end of her term next July. So far, we have heard from 2 Wisconsin appeals court judges who are considering running for that soon-to-be vacant seat, those being Chief Judge Lisa Neubauer and Judge Brian Hagedorn.
It is 6:05 right now on this Thursday morning, and there is an effort tonight in downtown Madison to connect opioid addicts and their families with people and organizations who can help them.
It's such a big problem. More than 100 people die of an opioid overdose every day in this country. News 3's Christina Laurie is live at the Central Branch of the Madison Library right now, where they're holding that town hall later tonight with information on how people can get involved. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning. Mayor Paul Soglin, police and fire chiefs, local school leaders, and community members will all come together here at the Madison Public Library tonight for a discussion on the opioid epidemic here in town. The meeting will feature a screening of a new documentary that was produced here in Wisconsin called Straightforward: The Truth About Addiction. Following the video will be a discussion on intervention techniques and services and networking opportunities designed to help families deal with an addict. Local leaders say there are a growing number of resources available for families here in Dane County, and the city of Madison is really at the forefront of tackling this problem locally.
We hear a lot about the epidemic and about heroin and, you know, sort of the scary stuff related to it. But there's a lot of things going on that are making our community more resilient and safer. And, you know, I think people are able to plug in and think about how can I make a difference when you present it that way as opposed to all the scary stuff.
Among Safe Communities resources, the Parent Addiction Network and a new African-American opioid coalition to counter increasing rates of overdoses in the African-American community. Now, I put a link to the full breakdown of tonight's scheduled town hall meeting, which runs from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock here at the Madison Public Library. You can find it on our website, channel3000.com. And coming up in the next half hour of News 3 this morning, I'll explain the simple steps you can take today to keep your kids, family, friends, and community safe from this increasing problem.
All right, Christina Laurie downtown at the Central Library. Thank you so much. So speaking of opioids, the state of Wisconsin is burning tens of thousands of pounds of them in an effort to stop that epidemic. Attorney General Brad Schimmel said Wisconsinites turned in 63,000 pounds of unused medication during last month's National Drug Take-Back Day. Those drugs were collected by police officers around the state. Fuchs Trucking donated 3 trailers to take those drugs to Indianapolis, where they are going to be burned. Schimmel said Wisconsin collected more unused medication than Minnesota, Michigan, and Iowa combined.
Meanwhile, the state of Minnesota is suing an opioid maker, accusing that company of pressuring doctors to prescribe powerful painkillers meant for cancer patients. Insys makes a form of fentanyl that is sprayed under the tongue to give those patients relief from extreme pain. This lawsuit claims that the company's executives ordered their salespeople to expand the market for the drug by targeting doctors who were not oncologists and getting them to prescribe the drug at doses much higher than what is approved by the FDA. A state investigation found 17 Minnesota doctors prescribed the drug to patients who did not have cancer.
The Milwaukee, or rather Madison, police officer accused of driving drunk with a child in the car is expected in court today for the final time before her trial starts next month. Dane County prosecutors say Kelly Heft had a blood alcohol content of 0.27. That's more than 3 times the legal limit, when she allegedly drove over road signs on the west side of Madison before she was pulled over by one of her colleagues last summer. Now, the arresting officer said Heft admitted she had been drinking too much, but refused to take a field sobriety test. At the time, she had a 5-year-old in the car. Dane County judge previously denied her request to throw out some of the evidence in the case. Jury selection for Officer Heft is set to start on June 11th.
Police across Wisconsin are asking for your help finding a missing man from Sheboygan this morning. A silver alert has been issued for 66-year-old David C. Knight. He was last seen around 1 p.m. yesterday. He's about 6 feet tall with brown and gray hair. He was wearing blue jeans with holes in the knees and a black T-shirt when he went missing. Family members believe he left his home in his black Ford Fiesta with the Wisconsin's license plate number 552UTC. Anyone with information should call the Sheboygan Police Department at 920-459-3334. 6:09 right now. There is an absolutely horrible story to share out of Rock County this morning, where a mom is making it her mission to prevent another young girl or boy from taking their own life. We'll hear her message for other parents and for teachers after the break.
Air conditioners and fans around southern Wisconsin are going to be working hard again today. Hattie's sharing temperatures in the 80s, heat index creeping into the 90s. There is a change coming for the weekend, though. She'll let us know about it next on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning from the patio. No umbrella needed this morning. In fact, you'll need the sunscreen today. We have another very hot and humid day on the way, with temperatures climbing into the mid-80s, heat index values even higher. Let's talk a little bit about moisture. We've had quite a bit of rain so far this month, and we're about to close the books on the month of May. Here's a map of the United States showing you where we have the surplus of moisture through the month. And you can see that southern Wisconsin is one of the wetter spots across the country. Much of the east has actually been pretty active throughout the month with more rain than is typical. The desert southwest has been drier than normal. Here is a look at Madison, for example. We're running about 150% of the normal precipitation. We're not going to set the record for the wettest May ever, but we're close. We added over an inch of rain yesterday, so the total so far for the month is about 9 3/4 inches. And you can see where we stand on the list. The top 3 years all occurring since 2000 here in the month of May. Here's a look at our 24-hour precipitation estimate. And again, the heaviest precipitation was right through south central Wisconsin. Again, over an inch here in Madison. Southwestern Wisconsin was a little drier than that, and the eastern part of the state as well. There were some storms right along the Mississippi River Valley late yesterday that added up those totals. But this morning, things are pretty quiet across the region. There's a cluster of showers and thunderstorms to our south this morning, but that is not going to move in our direction today. We have mostly clear skies early this morning. The sun is up. It is going to heat up pretty fast as well. 66 in Mineral Point and Lone Rock, 67 in the Dells, 69 here in Madison. We're still the warm spot in the region. Dew points are in the mid-60s as well, and when those dew points start to get pretty close to the temperature, that's when you feel the humidity, and it is noticeable this morning. Future Track will show you to expect partly sunny skies today with a fast warm-up. Back into the low 80s by lunchtime, topping right around 86 here in Madison. Again, it may feel a little bit warmer when you factor in that humidity. There is a chance for a few showers or thunderstorms late today into the evening. Future Track not getting very excited about those chances for rain, but they're along a cold front as it moves through the region. Temperatures tomorrow will be a little bit cooler than they were today. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Highs definitely cool down for Friday and the upcoming weekend. We're back into the 70s with lower humidity. There is still a chance for rain late Saturday into early Sunday, but plenty of dry weather expected this weekend as well. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, we're starting off the commute looking pretty good on the Beltline. No major delays showing up quite yet. The sun, though, is pretty bright heading eastbound. Just make sure you grab those shades when you head out the door. Looking at Dane County, there are a few brake lights showing up on the northbound side of Rona Road approaching the Beltline ramps. No problems at all yet downtown around the Capitol and UW campus. Shouldn't see any volume-related issues, at least for another half hour or so. And so far, so good on other main routes leading into the Madison area. No major crashes or issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Hattie. It's 6:16 right now. We have an update to a story we first brought you a couple of weeks ago out of the Stanley Boyd School District north of Eau Claire. Parents there, you may remember, were upset over allegations school staffers were taking lunches of kids who didn't have enough money to pay for them in their school lunch accounts. Kids said the experience was humiliating for their classmates. Parents wanted something to be done about it. At a school board meeting this week, the district said it's going to change its policy so students will now pay for lunch at the front of the line instead of at the end of the line. And district officials are promising they will better communicate with parents to let them know when their kids are getting close to having no money in their accounts.
A Janesville mother wants to share the story of her 12-year-old daughter Elizabeth's suicide in hopes of saving other lives in the future. Rebecca Coughlin says Elizabeth was bullied after her father died, and that played a role in her taking her own life last weekend. Rebecca called her daughter Lizzie and says Lizzie was goofy, artistic, and loving. She said the harassment she got at school, though, was so bad she couldn't think of any other option than suicide.
The note she left said, "I love you, Mom. I just want you to be happy. And the only way that I can be happy is to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else."
Now, Rebecca says she did talk to Lizzie's teachers and the principal at Franklin Middle School about the bullying, but says that they didn't do enough to stop it. A spokesperson for the Janesville School District says he can't comment on specific cases, but in a statement released to News 3, he wrote the district has a long-established bullying prevention policy, and our staff works hard to model respectful behavior and ensure that students treat each other politely and in a caring manner. We want to remind you that if you need help talking to your kids about bullying, suicide, or any other mental health topic, there are resources and some advice on our Time for Kids, Time to Talk page. Our partners at SSM Health have helped share expert advice and resources, as well as weekly tips for starting a conversation with your family. Just visit channel3000.com/time4kids.
6:18 right now. There's another emotional story we want to share with you this morning. Is two Wisconsin sisters who spent their entire lives together, 80+ years, died together over the weekend as well. We're going to hear from their daughters coming up.
And it is definitely a shorts kind of day for the kids out there. Teachers will be plugging in all of the fans to keep classrooms cool. Hattie will have an update on what you can expect at the bus stop today when News 3 This Morning continues.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. A beautiful view of downtown Madison this morning thanks to our Edgewater Sky Cam. The sun is up, skies are mostly clear, and temperatures are starting off on a very mild note. Not a whole lot showing up around here on the radar map. There have been a few showers just south of the state line. Those should stay mainly south of the area this morning. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 60s early today. Dew points are high as well, so it feels quite muggy. At the bus stop, you definitely don't need a jacket today. We're looking at highs in the mid 80s. It'll even feel a little bit warmer when you factor in the humidity today. Stay cool today.
We will try. Thank you very much, Hattie. So it's a twin thing. That is the only explanation doctors and family members have after two 83-year-old Boscobel women passed away this past weekend within hours of one another.
So while their deaths of twin sisters Marcella and Maxine make their daughters sad, they say there's a sense of peace. They basically died together because when Marcella began suffering from dementia, Maxine says she'd lost a part of her best friend.
Your mom had said, when mom got dementia and no longer had a phone, said, this is the first time in 81 years I haven't been able to tell my sister goodnight.
The sisters were born on their family farm in Bosquebel. They were known back then as the McDowell twins growing up. They both worked as nursing assistants on the same shift at Bosquebel's hospital for nearly 50 years.
Because they did everything together their whole lives, it just seemed like the next step.
Yep, it really did.
So Maxine went into the hospital with pneumonia last Thursday. Marcel, who hadn't been sick, was admitted a day later with the same symptoms. Now at the hospital where they died, workers ring a chime when a baby is born. On Sunday morning, right about when Maxine and Marcel were about to die, 2 chimes rang as another set of twins were born.
That is so cool.
It's a nice ending.
It's a nice, it's a really nice story. Yeah, exactly.
6:23 right now. Opioids are now the leading accidental cause of death around the country and here in Dane County. Christina Laurie is looking ahead to a meeting tonight to connect people who need help to the help they need.
And I certainly remember this day last year. Those living in Cambria do as well, for sure. We will look back on that deadly explosion that rocked that community 1 year ago today when News 3 This Morning returns.
Fighting against drug abuse in Dane County, the simple steps you can take today to help keep your family, friends, and community safe.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the final half hour now of News 3 This Morning. It's 6:27 on this Thursday, May 31st, final day of the month.
It is, and it's going to be another hot one out there. Hattie McLean's already out in it, out on her patio. Hattie, almost 70 degrees right now, and we're only going up from here.
It is, yeah. It's a very muggy start to the day. So as soon as you step out the door, you know what I'm talking about. Temperatures are going to climb into the mid-80s. Heat index values will be even higher today. Take a live look from our Queen Bee Radio Sky Cam. Beautiful shot there, though, with the green grass and the colors still muted in the sky. A little bit of orange and pink left from the sunrise. Great start in Platteville this morning, where it's 65 degrees, 66 in Lone Rock, and 69 here in Madison. Dew points, though, tell the story today. Dew points are in the mid-60s, and they'll hold steady through the day. So it is going to be very muggy as we go into the afternoon. Our day planner forecast has high temperatures in the mid-80s today. Keep in mind, we're already in the 80s at lunchtime. We're looking at a high of 86. Now, there's an outside chance for a little bit of rain later today, but most areas look to stay dry. Look at your first alert traffic maps early this morning. We'll show you what's happening on the roads. Some slowdowns heading in from Sun Prairie on 151, but otherwise no major delays in and around the Beltline areas. You're still going at posted speeds heading into Madison from the surrounding communities. And that's your first alert traffic.
Thank you very much, Hattie. 6:29 right now. We start this morning with data showing the number of overdoses involving prescription painkillers here in Wisconsin has more than doubled recently. And that's just for young people between 12 and 25.
Madison city leaders and treatment providers around here are hosting a town hall tonight, hopefully connecting people affected by this epidemic with the help they need. Christina Laurie is live outside the central branch of the Madison Public Library, where that meeting will be taking place later today. Good morning, Christina.
Adam and Danica, overdose deaths here in Madison have been increasing over the past 6 years. City leaders and local nonprofits agree that opioids are to blame. And while they say there's no quick fix to solving this problem, there are several simple steps you can take today to keep your family, friends, and community safe. First, you can lock up all of your prescription drugs in a lockbox, which the nonprofit Safe Communities will provide for free at tonight's town hall meeting. 75% of people who start on opioids get the drugs from someone they know, with or without asking. Second, dispose of any medication you no longer need. And if your doctor prescribes you opioids, ask if you really need them. All the healthcare systems in Dane County are on board with limiting the number of opioids prescribed, and there is a healthcare task force on safe opioid prescribing. In 2000, there were 13 opioid deaths in Dane County. In 2015, there were 57. In 2016, the most recent year on record, 85 people died in Dane County from an opioid overdose.
You know, the city of Madison is all on board. It's a demonstration of, you know, the elected officials' commitment, the police department, you know, the fire department, all of the different organizations that have come together to address this. So I think the leadership has really been remarkable, and I have to say it's a national model.
Now, the city of Madison actually won a Conference of Mayors Award back in 2013 for their commitment to addressing this issue. Safe Communities says the fact that the city has stepped up and will now administer naloxone exemplifies just how serious they are in continuing to combat this issue. Last year, the federal government declared opioid addiction a national public health emergency. So this is clearly not a problem exclusive to Dane County or Madison. Drug overdoses are now the leading cause of accidental deaths in America. So if you would like to join in the conversation, come out to the Madison Public Library tonight from 4 until 8 o'clock for this free event.
And again, the event starts at 4 o'clock, includes a screening of a new documentary on this topic, an important one to be discussing. Christina Laurie reporting from downtown Madison. Thank you, Christina.
6:31 right now. The Didion corn mill will be closed to the public today as the company and its workers mark the one-year anniversary of the deadly explosion there. 5 people were killed, 14 others hurt during that industrial accident at the corn milling plant in Cambria last May 31st. About a month ago, federal investigators blamed the explosion on highly combustible corn dust that had been released into the air of the mill after a filter came loose. Last year, OSHA fined Didion nearly $2 million for 19 safety violations. It's the largest penalty the federal agency has ever given to a Wisconsin business. Didion, meanwhile, is working to reduce that fine. The company says it will not be speaking publicly today about the incident, but is planning to release a written statement that we will share later on channel3000.com.
A Madison woman hit by a car on Midvale Boulevard last month is back in intensive care this morning.
One of the doctors had told us that this would be kind of like the stock market, that we would go in a general trajectory up, but that there would be ups and downs, and this kind of feels like a crash.
Greg Namitz and his wife Patty were walking their dog on the sidewalk along Midvale when they were hit by a car going roughly 80 miles per hour. Greg was killed at the scene. Patty has been in the hospital ever since. Members of the Dane County Victim Witness Unit met with some of Greg and Patty's neighbors last night to discuss the trauma they're experiencing. Prosecutors allege that the driver of the car was 19-year-old Benjamin Cortez, and detectives believe he was going 102 miles per hour down Midvale before getting slower to 80 at the time of the crash. Now he is facing charges of negligent homicide and is currently out on bail.
The man accused of sneaking into a UW-Madison dorm and a sexual assault's back in the Dane County Jail this morning. We're talking about 19-year-old Larry Seidel. He was arrested last August after he grabbed a woman allegedly inappropriately on State Street. In a different incident, he's accused of following two other women into a campus area apartment building, trying to take pictures of them using the bathroom. Seidel was sent to a mental facility in October following a competency hearing. He's now facing 2 additional bail jumping charges after not complying with the terms of his bond. He's due back in court today for a status hearing.
A sex offender accused of assaulting a teenage girl at a state-supervised halfway house will make his final appearance in court today before his trial begins. 20-year-old Nathan Thompson is one of 4 men accused of giving the then 17-year-old victim marijuana and ecstasy before assaulting her in the summer of 2016. Thompson wasn't living at that halfway house, but was part of the county's bail monitoring program at the time of the alleged assault. The 3 other men involved have already been sentenced, and those sentences range from 6.5 to 15 and 20 years in prison. The victim in this case later committed suicide. Thompson's trial is scheduled to start at the end of next month.
There are not going to be any court appearances in Columbia County today. It's because court staffers are moving into the newly renovated courthouse in Portage. Court calendar was cleared yesterday and today because of the move. Hearings will resume tomorrow. So that could include the first appearance for the semi-truck driver who reportedly crashed into a school bus on the interstate last week. Wayne Murphy was booked into the Columbia County Jail on tentative charges of drunk driving. A total of 19 students from Milwaukee middle schoolers were hurt in that crash, including one of them who is critically injured.
The people who live near the interstate southeast of Madison are worried about their own safety after several crashes near there over the past week. The latest was a 7-vehicle crash between Stoughton and McFarland that closed the northbound lanes of the interstate for nearly 3 hours. The State Patrol says 3 semi-trucks were involved in that accident. Troopers say at least 2 other multi-car crashes have taken place within miles of this one in the past week. 6 people were taken to the hospital after yesterday's crash with non-life-threatening injuries. One of the biggest challenges for first responders is getting ambulances and tow trucks into the tight areas where these accidents happen.
DOT is warning drivers to be really careful about deer over the next few weeks here in Wisconsin. June's the time of year when young deer separate from their mothers and does look for places to give birth. That means there are more deer on the state's roads and highways. There were more than 20,000 deer-related crashes in 2016. 959 of them took place here in Dane County. DOT says June is actually the month when drivers are most likely to be hurt in an accident with a deer. The most car-deer accidents are in the fall, but the time drivers get hurt the most is right now.
Pay attention out there. 6:36 right now. The U.S. is set to start imposing tariffs on imported metals today, which could affect the price of things like Wisconsin cranberries overseas. We'll have an update coming up.
And the top scorer for Badger basketball will stay in Madison for his senior season, try to get his team back to March Madness next year. The news is back in the morning on News 3 This Morning.
Welcome back. 6:39 right now on this Thursday morning. This is the time of morning we always ask you to share a little bit of your day with us. And Luann shared this beautiful shot of the tulips in front of the Capitol. She had a nice job capturing a lot in that picture.
Yeah.
I think you got to get a little low to get the tulips and the top of the Capitol there. But just awesome picture.
It's always my favorite time of year at the Capitol. Besides the tulips, it's usually the lawmakers are gone, which kind of serves as a double wonderful purpose.
It's
that
quiet,
you have there.
it's beautiful. There you go.
You can let go of your wallet for the first time in a number of months. Thank you again, Luann. What does your morning look like? Take a picture. Please put it on our Facebook page or on Twitter with the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We show off our favorites, Danica and I do, every morning right here on the program. All right, today's May 31st. The end of the month of May means Madison's summer music season starting up again. That includes concerts on the rooftop at Monona Terrace. The annual concert series starts tonight with country act Bella Kane. Also on the schedule this summer, Beatles tribute band Brit Beat, 80s cover band Totally Neon, and Danica loves the Chicago Blues band, the Jimmies.
Love them.
Tickets for concerts on the rooftop are required, but they are free. All you have to do is go to the Monona Terrace's website to get them.
Super fun if you haven't been. And just in time for summer, there's a new pier at Vilas Park. This is thanks to more than 30 union volunteers. That pier, which had been previously just sitting in storage, was given new decking and was made handicapped accessible. So over the winter, those volunteers donated almost 200 hours of work to renovate the dock, and they just recently reinstalled it, so it's ready to rock and roll. The Union Sportsmen's Alliance raised nearly $22,000 for this project. Maybe not the best day to be out on the water today. The sunburn and sweat factors will be quite high. Hattie is calling for very hot temperatures again and a chance for storms and showers this afternoon, albeit very slight. Her full forecast is coming up.
First, though, if you have a little kid who's turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can help celebrate their birthday by showing their picture right here on News 3 this morning. Thanks so much for watching. We're taking a live look outside right now at the view from the WISC-TV Skycam. Hattie says we are back in the oven today, both broil and bake.
Nice.
Heat index over 90. Her full forecast is coming up. Turning our attention now to a sport, the indoor sport, that the Badgers are going to be particularly happy about this morning. After top scorer, top rebounder, top stealer, Ethan Happ's going to be coming back to Madison for his senior season.
Yeah, he had until the end of the day yesterday to make the decision to come back or to stay in the NBA draft. He ended up tweeting late in the afternoon that he has had some unbelievable experiences in Madison and he will be back for one more special season. Happ led the team in scoring, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, basically everything last season. He did have workouts with a handful of NBA teams, including the Bucks and the Pistons, but he never hired an agent. That kept the door open for his return.
No truth to the rumor right now that Hattie McClain is going to be tutoring Ethan Happ on his three-point shot, which is what he really needs to work on, right, Hads?
Absolutely not. I'm the worst person to tutor him on that shot. I'm sure you can find someone better than that. I could help him with weather, though. If he's taken any weather classes, I could definitely help him out with that. We have temperatures in the 60s this morning, 69 degrees here in Madison. We have partly to mostly sunny skies, a light west-southwesterly wind. Dew point, though, is critical. It's at 65. So relative humidity is near 90% this morning. There is a little bit of fog north and west of Madison through the Wisconsin River Valley and then up towards La Crosse area. Visibility near zero in Viroqua and Boscobel has improved somewhat in Lone Rock. Sunshine should take care of that fog pretty quickly this morning. We're going to be talking about heat index today, especially through the afternoon. Take a look at future track heat index starting at noon today. It will already feel like it's in the 80s from Madison and points to the south. Temperatures or heat index values climb from there through the afternoon. We're into the upper 90s in some spots, so it is going to be a little uncomfortable today. One more day, though, before a cold front moves through and brings more comfortable conditions starting tomorrow. Here's a look at satellite and radar trends. Again, there have been a few showers south of the state line, not really having much success getting going. There's actually some diminishing storms to our south as well. All chances for severe weather and active weather today mainly remain well south of Madison. Here's a look at future track showing you what to expect through the day today. Partly sunny skies. Pretty quiet, but very warm and humid conditions today. Now, as this cold front moves through late today into this evening, there's an outside chance for a shower or a thunderstorm. Most areas, they'll look to stay dry. The front moves through and our winds shift around. I'll bring some drier air into the region for tomorrow. So Friday looks to be very pleasant with sunshine and light winds. No rain in the forecast for tomorrow. This next system advancing across the northern plains will continue to track eastward and bring a chance for some rain later on Saturday. But until then, pretty nice. It is going to be warm today. Here's a look in Platteville. Skies are mostly clear there. 66 degrees, so up a degree in Platteville. 66 as well in Boscobel. 67 in Watertown and 68 in Janesville this morning. Dew points, as I mentioned, will stay in the mid-60s, so plan on a pretty warm and humid day. Your pinpoint city forecast highs today, 86 in Middleton, 84 in Stoughton, and 86 in Watertown. To the west, 82 in Prairie du Chien, as well as Fenimore. And to the north, that's the best chance to see maybe a little bit of rain later on today, 81 in Mauston, as well as Necedah. Here in Madison, temperatures will climb into the mid-80s. 86 degrees is our high today. Very humid conditions, but we are back into the 70s starting on Friday, and it looks like that comfortable weather will stick around through the upcoming weekend. I'll tell you someone who's happy about that forecast. This is Birdie in Wanakee. Doesn't look like Birdie's smiling for the picture.
Kind of. Trying to.
Yeah.
Birdie's
Cute
a
picture.
good-looking dog, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Birdie's going to love it today. Need some water, though.
That's true.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next, though. First, here's Gail King with preview of CBS This Morning.
Ahead on CBS This Morning, we're in Hawaii, where tensions are boiling over as lava threatens to trap people in their homes. What led one neighbor to pull a gun on another? Yikes. And we'll introduce you to the woman who donated part of her liver. You'll see the very emotional meeting between her and the baby that she saved. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.
6:52 now on this Thursday morning. Time for the morning sprint. Hattie says we have one more hot and humid day to get through before a nice cool down. Christina Laurie's at the Public Library, where there's a town hall tonight to deal with Madison's leading cause of accidental death.
But we want to start in Cambria today, where those working at the Didion corn milling plant will mark 1 year since a deadly explosion at that facility. 5 people were killed, 14 others were hurt during that industrial accident. Out of respect for the 5 people who died and the privacy of its staff, Didion says the property will not be open to the public today. About a month ago, federal investigators blamed the explosion on highly combustible corn dust released after a filter came loose. Last year, OSHA fined Didion $2 million for safety violations. We hope to have a written statement from the company later today, and we'll post that on channel3000.com.
The number of people who have died from an opioid overdose in Dane County has more than doubled over the past decade. Now, city leaders and local community members are coming together for a conversation tonight at the Madison Public Library to discuss the growing epidemic. The meeting, which runs from 4 until 8 o'clock, is free and open to the public. Mayor Paul Soglin and other city leaders will talk and listen to people's concerns, watch the documentary film Straightforward on Addiction, and start the conversation about approaches that work. Last year, President Donald Trump declared the opioid epidemic a national public health emergency, and Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker has signed 11 bills into law addressing the crisis locally.
And today is going to be another very warm and humid day across the area. Take a look at our temperatures early this morning. We're starting in the 60s, in fact, now 70 in Janesville. Heat index will creep up through the day as well. We're looking at mid to upper 80s later on this afternoon. That's what it's going to feel like across southern Wisconsin.
Thank you, Hattie. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a top North Korean official are going to spend the day in meetings in New York City, try to get a summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un back on track. The president canceled that June 12th summit last week, saying North Korean leaders were being hostile during the negotiation process. Since then, both the North Korean government and the White House have said they would still be willing to meet. Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan's on CBS This Morning with the latest right after 7 o'clock.
Harley Davidson and Wisconsin's cranberry producers will be watching closely today as the U.S. is expected to officially apply tariffs on steel and aluminum coming in from Europe. Shares in American steel companies are slightly up in pre-market trading as a result. The Trump administration announced those tariffs of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum back in March, but gave the European Union an exemption that expires tomorrow. The EU said it would tax certain imports in retaliation.
We're still waiting to hear if the Sears stores at Madison's Easttown and Westtown malls are going to be impacted by that company's latest round of closures. Just within the last couple of hours, Sears announced it lost $424 million in the first quarter and is going to have to close at least 72 more stores to balance its budget. Earlier this month, Sears Holdings announced it would close 33 Sears locations, 9 Kmart stores in 26 states, including the final Sears store in the Milwaukee area.
The 2 Republicans hoping to challenge Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin this fall will take part in a forum in Dane County tonight. State Senator Leah Vukmir, that is, and businessman Kevin Nicholson will make their respective cases to the GOP women of Dane County on why they deserve their support. The forum starts at 6:30 at the Sheridan Hotel in Madison. It is free and open to the public.
We could hear more today from those interested in running for a soon-to-be open spot on Wisconsin's Supreme Court. That's because Justice Shirley Abrahamson announced yesterday she will not seek re-election next year. Abrahamson was Wisconsin's first female Supreme Court justice, and she served 42 years on the state's highest court. That's longer than any other Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin history. She says she will stay to the end of her term next July.
There's a statewide alert out this morning for a senior citizen with dementia. 66-year-old David Knight was last seen yesterday afternoon in Random Lake. That's about a half hour from Sheboygan, from where he's from. Now, the silver alert's been issued because he's in a car and has now been missing for more than 12 hours. His family believes he's driving his 2001 black Ford Fiesta with Wisconsin license plate number 552UTC.
The DOT is warning drivers to be especially careful over the next few weeks because of deer. June's the time of year when young deer separate from their mothers and does look for places to give birth. That means there are more deer on the state's roads and highways. There were more than 20,000 car deer crashes in 2016, 959 of them, which took place in Dane County.
If it's not the deer, it's the sunshine today. 6:56. Time now to check in with Josh Tim with one more look at traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Well, it's already beginning to slow down on the westbound side of the Beltline, especially between Stoughton Road and Monona Drive. That's going to add a few minutes to your time. And if you are heading eastbound, make sure you grab the shades. The sun is at just the right level right now. Heading inbound on John Olin, brake lights popping up near Rimrock, Olin Avenue, and North Shore Drive intersections on your way into the downtown area. And other main routes into the city moving along at the posted speeds right now with no crashes or delays. For your First Alert Traffic, I'm Josh Sim.
Thank you, Josh.
And it looks to be a pretty warm and humid day across the area. The view from the Edgewater Skycam showing you sunny skies out over downtown Madison this morning. Temperatures are already in the 60s. We'll climb back into the low 80s by noon, topping in the mid 80s later on today. Just a slight chance for a shower or thunderstorm late today. Otherwise, if you're liking the cooler weather better, you just have to wait till tomorrow.
Well, certainly stay cool today and keep track on our Channel 3000 First Alert weather app. We'll see you tomorrow.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert weather app and start planning.